Hi everyone, it's Michelle here. Today I'm going to be showing you how to do some masked stamping using a simple stencil. So to start off, I pulled out some gray cardstock, which is going to be my card base, and I have half a sheet of 8.5 by 11 paper here cut on the long edge, and I'm just gonna score this at 5.5 inches so that the folded card will measure 4.25 by 5.5 inches. And I'm using my mini scoring board to do this and a bone folder. And then I pulled out a stencil that's in a star shape. You can use any shape you want here, but a simple shape works best. So think circles, stars, hearts, squares, things like that. And you're going to need the positive part of a stencil for this, so you can see how I have the actual shape and not just the cutout of the shape. And I sprayed some easy tack on one side of the stencil, which I do with all my stencils, and this will just help it to stay stuck to my cardstock and not move around while I do some stamping around it. So I'm just sticking that down directly onto my card base. And by the way, I'll make sure to link you to a tutorial of how I cut my stencils at the end of this video. So then I pulled out this Petal Pusher stamp set from the Alleyway Stamps, which has a bunch of flowers that I'm going to use, and I pulled out all of these bright and colorful inks that I'm going to be using with these stamps. I chose to go for a really colorful kind of pattern today, but you can also do a monochrome effect, which would also look really nice, but I just wanted to bring out all these colors because this is going to be kind of like a celebration card, so I wanted to make it as happy and fun as possible. So I pulled off a bunch of stamps from that stamp set I showed you, and I tried to stick to the ones that had a lot of solid stamping on it. So stamps with outlines don't work as well because you want as much ink to go down along that edge as possible, and this will help to define the edge really well. So I'm just going to go ahead and stamp all of these in different colors, trying not to put two colors too close to each other, just to keep it really colorful. And in between each ink color, I'm wiping my stamps with a baby wipe and then also stamping it off onto a scrap piece of paper on the side just to make sure that all the ink is really off so that the colors don't transfer between stamping. So you can see how I'm really concentrating my stamping along the edge, trying to make sure that all of the corners are really well defined, and that'll make sure that you can see your shape really well. And once the corners and edges are completely stamped off, I can go ahead and fill in the spaces with the smaller stamps. So I started with the bigger stamps and then worked my way to the smaller ones so that I could fit them into all of the spaces in between. And once I have that all stamped out, I am going to remove the stencil and then you'll see all how it was masked off. So here you can already see the shape of where the star was, and it looks really nice, but I actually want to put this back onto my cardstock. And to add some more definition, we're going to be adding some ink, but I just wanted to wipe my stencil off with a baby wipe just to make sure all of that extra ink that was on there doesn't get smudged in there as well. So I'm going to place this directly onto the card where it was before. And again, since it has that easy tack on the back of it, you can just smush that down and it'll stick right back in place. So now I brought out my ink blending tool and a really light pink distress ink. This one is spun sugar, but you just need any kind of light ink that will match well with your card. I chose pink because I'm going to be bringing in some more pink elements later. So I'm just using that to ink the edges of the stencil. You'll see I'm starting from the middle of the stencil. I'm working my way off of it so that it blends outward and is not too obvious but helps define that shape. And once I take that off, you can see how that really makes a difference, so that you could see the star more. It is a little more obvious now. So now there's this perfect space in the center where the star was masked off for a sentiment, and I decided to go with a thicker sentiment this time because I just feel like, especially with glitter thickers, you can get a really fun effect with that, and since they're dimensional, that adds a lot to this card since I had stamped directly onto the card base, so right now it's just one layer. So I wanted to keep it short and sweet, but still really fun, so I'm adding a yay sentiment. and I'm just placing those down. I sometimes use my ruler just to make sure that everything fits okay and is lined up before I adhere it to the card. But since this is a really short sentiment, it fit perfectly in there. And then I also brought out these glitter pink stars from Freckled Fawn. They're kind of like the same texture as enamel dots, but they're bigger and they have glitter in them, and I think they're really fun. And I wanted to bring in that pink color since this is for a friend who really likes pink. So that finishes off the card, and I really love how the stars match the shape of the star stencil I used. But again, like I said, you can use any shape you want for this as long as you keep it simple and not too complicated. You don't want to use a stencil that has a bunch of different areas missing. You just want one big solid area. But this technique is pretty simple, and it's really easy to make your own stencils too. So on screen here I have some other videos that I've done in the past because I've done a whole series on stencils before. So if you want to check out those videos and how you can make your own stencils, make sure to click through to that. If you like this video, make sure to give this a thumbs up, and you can also subscribe to my channel and find me on Instagram and Pinterest. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you again soon.